Hi, folks. I'm Maud Mosley. My pronouns are they, them, and welcome back to Tunes Tuesday, a weekly series where I sit down with queer, 2S LGBTQ plus bands and musicians to talk to them about their music, their experiences, and so much more. This week, Toronto-based rapper, DJ, and producer Miss Milano joins me. Thank you so much for being here. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Myst Milano. I am, as Maud said, a rapper, DJ, and producer based in Toronto. I grew up in Edmonton, Alberta. I am a part of the Rude Collective, which is a party platform here in the city. I also run my own party called ADHD. Yeah.
Exciting. And we will be kind of getting into that party scene a little bit later in the interview because there's a lot of exciting things to talk about there. But first, because of its, recent release, so your debut album Shapeshifter was released just this past August. And on social media, you talked about how the journey towards its release was one of struggle and survival, as well as one of community and support. As of right now, what song off the album are you feeling the most connected to and why?
Um, hmm. I think probably Never Be Me is the song that I personally feel most connected to right now. I'm, yeah, I just like, I feel good right now. I feel confident. I feel strong. And I think that song really kind of reflects that.
I love that. And what's can I ask kind of like what's bringing about those feelings? Is it kind of like getting back into performing again, being able to be around community again, or is it just kind of an intrinsic feeling that you're filled with these days?
I think it's a combination of a couple different things. I think I'm happy that things are kind of slowly opening up again and that I've gotten an opportunity to perform indoors to a crowd. I also have I just got back from New York City to play a show there with Club Quarantine. Um, I People seem to like the album, and so it's making its rounds, and I'm just like I'm just enjoying that. Yeah, enjoying the feeling um, of knowing that I made something that people like. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Definitely a lot to be excited about. And you just mentioned Club Quarantine, which is great because I absolutely want to talk about this because yourself and many other performers and activists were involved with Club Quarantine in the last year. And Club Quarantine was an online party started during lockdown. For those who don't know, that drew attention towards Toronto's queer party scene. And as somebody who performed at the event and also used the platform to share vital protest information and more, how do you see that connection and importance between partying and organizing and activism?
I think as queer people, as Black people, as people of color, as trans people, we're naturally inclined to activism because we are required, like nearly on a daily basis, to defend ourselves or to defend our quote unquote lifestyles. And so I think that being queer people, it just naturally kind of shifted into this desire to to be an activist or to be an advocate. And I think that our party spaces are often also places of activism where we can see like-minded people and where people like us aren't being marginalized or persecuted. We often have only found places to escape in nightlife, places to be ourselves in nightlife when the rest of the world is asleep. We're actually expressing ourselves. We're getting to know ourselves and each other, and we're living our truest, most authentic lives. And so I think that's a really powerful um, way to protest.
Definitely. And I think that, really absolutely connects to the idea that, for marginalized people, like finding joy is protest, like having fun and experiencing joy and experiencing community is also, radical in and of itself. Whether you're doing things that seem explicitly political in general, which is amazing. And how do you find like the continuation of that? Like you mentioned, you just did something again with Club Quarantine. How does it, continue to exist as things move forward?
I think we're all like, I think we're all pretty exhausted by last year. And I think that um, by and large, like we're just excited to be able to do an in real life event. New York's policies around COVID are very, very different from Toronto's. And so it was a lot more open and a lot bigger of a crowd than we were used to. And so I think moving forward, we're just trying to continue the legacy that was built um, over 2020.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I hope, there's another side to that exhaustion. And maybe this is an experience that can be brought to Toronto once it's safe. But outside of music, you also engage a lot with astrology and tarot practices. And this is a practice you've had for many years. And you've even spent parts of this past summer reading at Greenport Store in Toronto. What drew you towards tarot and astrology? And what do you enjoy about sharing that practice with others?
I spent a long time in my teenage years wanting to be a psychologist, and then realizing that I didn't want to go to university because I wanted to be a musician also. So I think that the best way for me to kind of do psychology or to like learn more about people and the way that we work and to connect with people in that way was to learn more about astrology and to learn more about tarot. I started reading tarot like 6 years ago, and I wanted to do it to help people. Like, I think I wanted to do it as a form of therapy for people because know that um, I know that therapy isn't really accessible, and while it is like for entertainment purposes, it can be like just an affirming experience. Oftentimes, it only tells you what you need to hear and also what you already know. But sometimes you just need to hear that from someone else. And so I think that, yeah, it's always been like a healing practice for me. I think it's just a way to, especially with astrology, a way to talk to people and get to know them.
Yeah. And you mentioned that kind of getting into astrology and tarot was around the same time that you also realized that you wanted to be taking this route towards music and experimenting with that. Do you find, in the past or now that your practices with astrology and tarot inform the way that you create music in any way?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I try to use astrology to like look at when I should release something or when I should be working on something, and tarot too. I'll ask the cards like whether like or not I should make an artistic decision. Like if they're very, I'm very still connected to both of those practices, and they do like work their way into my art a lot for sure. Like 100%.
That's really interesting to hear, as somebody who is outside of the, astrology and tarot world, but does know a lot of people that are very invested in it. I think it's really incredible how these practices can, inform so much of what we do. I think that's really powerful. And do you find that you can connect with other musicians in the scene that kind of have informed their practices similarly?
I don't know a ton of other musicians that are super into astrology the way that I am, but it's definitely a huge part of who I am and what I do.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for joining me on this week's Tunes Tuesday. I really appreciated you having you here. If you would like to check out Miss Milano's music, any of the events that we have mentioned, or any of the astrology and tarot stuff, you can check out any of the links below and stay tuned for next week. Miss Milano will be playing us out.
You can't lie to me, boy, I'm too psychic. Got him all confused because he likes a dyke who likes dick. Existential crisis, pussy, leave him lifeless, knocked out. I'ma get on stage tonight and rock out with my cock out. He said he gets stage fright, he could never